All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA props video. Going to be breaking down the top prop bets for the NBA Summer League today on Friday. But that being said, it is Flex Friday on Prize Picks, so I'll be giving you guys a Flex Friday slip at the end of this video as well. But with that, let's go ahead and get into the game-by-game breakdown for today's slate in the NBA. Now, I do think it's worthwhile to touch on kind of the recap from yesterday, guys. So overall, in terms of the bets that were not DNPs, we ended up going 4 for 6 on the day, which was pretty darn solid. So remember, I gave you guys kind of the Charlotte stack where we knew someone was probably going to sit, and it ended up being 2 players ended up sitting, which meant that the 2 players that were on then, KJ Simpson and Concanopoulos, their lines were just way too low. That was the spot that I mentioned we would do. Ended up working out to AT. That was perfect. Now, the 2 prop bets that missed, I'm not like... Process-wise, I love it. Honestly, like, it was correct. It just didn't work out. Tyler Kolek, guys, had you told me he had 15 shot attempts and shot 6 threes, I'd have been like, yeah, sign me up for that any day of the week. He ends up barely just getting his under. If he does hit just one more bucket, a 3-ball, one of those 3 balls, we end up cashing there. So correct spot. It just did not work out for us there, unfortunately. And then we look at Bates as well. So we had his over 11.5 points, ends up at 11. Very tilting there again with him. If you told me he had gotten 11 shot attempts and 5 of those were 3 balls, I'd be like, yeah, sign me up for that any day of the week. So the process was correct for those 2. Just unfortunately, it did not work out. But really, I would say yesterday process-wise, basically ideal in terms of where we thought we were going to get edges and those edges coming true. Now, obviously, 2 players didn't step up for us, but 4 for 6 on the day. We'll take that as a whole. So let's go ahead and just get into a game preview for all the games that we have, just seeing if there's any games that we want to attack or potentially stay away from. So the first game's obviously kind of lower scoring. Dallas versus Orlando, kind of lower scoring. Sixers versus Brooklyn, a little bit lower scoring. And then we get into the Heat versus Bucks, 3.5 point spread, 182, decently high scoring. But these 2 teams, Utah versus Chicago, and then also Pacers versus Pelicans, 186.5, both close games. So we like that there. We continue on. Another lower scoring game. Then we have another game, Charlotte versus OKC, a close game. That's 186 for the over and under. So the nice part about today, just right off the bat, is the fact that we don't have to really worry about blowouts, at least on paper. Obviously, blowouts are probably going to occur, but at the very least, we don't have to worry about those blowouts. And I do want to call one other thing here as well. The bracket is set for the semifinals for the Summer League. So these teams are playing for something, right? And then the teams that are playing today are not necessarily playing for something. So it'll be interesting to see which players are active and inactive in this spot. We're going to try to break that down, obviously. And then it is worth calling out just guys real quickly, looking at any potential middling opportunities. We have 2. Okay, so it's very tight slate in that regard. We're really not going to get an edge by playing on one side or the other today, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So we go ahead and start here with looking at some of the Dallas Mavericks prop bets. Ryan Nembhard, I'm pretty sure I read that he is expected to sit. I thought he was shut down for the NBA Summer League. I believe that's correct. Okay, don't exactly quote me on that. I saw some tweets saying that though. So whether they're credible sources or not, that's what we have to see. So if he does end up sitting, these 2 for Lewis and Kelly are a little bit interesting, but I wouldn't need to go in on them. And so we take a peek at Miles Kelly, guys. He is someone that had 27 minutes in the last game, which was a little bit more. He had 18 shot attempts in the last game as well. Did get some rebounds and did get some assists. So he's someone that minutes-wise we have seen been there, but the shot attempts were up in the last game with Ryan Nembhard out. Then we also look at the other one, Maxwell Lewis as well. 28 minutes, had 20 freaking shot attempts, 8 3-ball attempts, okay? So it wasn't really productive like points and rebounds-wise, but either way, both of those 2 players, I think, again, if Nembhard sits, should be in a great spot, and Nembhard sat last game. So that to me are like 2 of the biggest edges that we were getting, again, in terms of like projected minutes and probable shot attempts and just increased usage with the player being out that isn't currently being factored in. And then we go ahead and jump into kind of the next spot that we have. It's going to be Orlando. So for Orlando, we did see Richardson and also Silva sit in the last game, which meant that a player that I told you guys to potentially be on if that occurred was Penda for over his points of 9.5. That could still be a spot that we could get to, although I think his lines are up enough. And then same thing there with Wendell Moore of his points and rebounds. Like, to me, there's just not much here for Orlando in terms of predictability and in terms of like where we would be getting edges. So we look at Moore, guys, we look at Penda here, I guess. That was weird. 27 minutes, 17 points. Did get a little bit more shot attempts, but was just really efficient for the most part. And so not really a spot that I want to get to. I think if you're betting on him, which I don't mind actually looking at a little bit more, I think if we're betting on him, we're betting on his over points, rebounds, and assists, because that's only at 20.20. That's only at 20. And now looking at that, given how productive he has been in other spots, like 14 rebounds and then 2 assists. This was not a good game for him. 26 minutes in that game, 8 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. But Obviously, we'd only want to bet on that if we get news that the other two players end up sit that I think are expected to sit. And then we look at Moore, guys. Moore, I don't really see much there. He has been playing well, don't get me wrong. Rebounds wise, been very solid there as well. But I feel like his lines are correct. I don't think we're gaining an edge with him at all. Like, you could argue his over points, rebounds, and assists is solid. I could see that maybe in a game stack we just run out both those two for their overs and then get it over with. I could see that. I think that's plausible. All right, so now we go ahead and get into the next game. We have Philly versus Brooklyn. Looking at the profits that we are getting for Philly, we do have Edgecombe. Don't know if he's going to play. Tough to really gauge that. I would assume he's going to sit. Mins is someone that, again, would benefit if Edgecombe does end up sitting, which I kind of do expect. Johnny Broome is an interesting one here, guys, for his potentially over 7.5 rebounds or even his points. I don't think we want to go points, rebounds, and assists. You combine these two together. I don't know if I necessarily see him getting 2 assists. And it's just worth calling out the reason why I like it. The last 2 games, he has seen his minutes increase dramatically, guys, 32 and 29 minutes. And so if he does get those increased in minutes, you would expect him to really just be able to get his over points and rebounds. So really whichever one you want to get to there instead. The issue that I have with him is you still have Adam Bona there as well, who could end up playing. In the last game did not play, which is why Broome did get a little bit more run. Okay, that was the back end of a back-to-back, though, so we don't know for sure if Bona is going to play or not. And then with that, like, Justin Edwards is someone that maybe he actually ends up sitting. There's no real reason to get him run. We've seen in the last game, he did end up sitting after getting heavy minutes there as well. And then, yes, it's just like worthwhile to call out that we don't know what the minutes are going to be here for these players. So it is risky there. And, we want to be able to lock in the minutes. I'm just not exactly sure we are able to do that. We go ahead and get into Brooklyn here as well. So Drew Timme did end up sitting kind of as expected in the last game after getting heavy minutes and being extremely productive. No shock there. And as a result, I did mention that there was a possible chance that Danny Wolf, because of the players that were out for Brooklyn, where they're just like, all right, go out and shoot the basketball as much as possible. And for him, that only meant 12 shot attempts. Now, he was good. 18 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Okay, so if Timme does end up sitting again, I think when we look at the lines that we're getting, yeah, Danny Wolf is still a little bit intriguing. But at the same time, I don't think we necessarily need to go in on them. And so Edgar as well, I just don't feel the need to go in on. Danny Wolf would be the one I would want to bet on. It's ugly to bet on him for over his points, let's face it. But I could say, I could be that being a pretty massive edge, again, if Timme does end up sitting. If Timme doesn't sit, we can assume he's going to get his full allotment of minutes. And if he does, his over points and points, rebounds, and assists is appealing, but again, a little bit risky there. So let's go ahead here and get into the evening game slates. I want to talk about Milwaukee, guys. Milwaukee's in an interesting spot because you have someone like Chris Livingston, who in the last game, I was wondering if he was going to be active because right before the game started, he signed a contract for the Milwaukee Bucks, a 2-way contract. So he had kind of been playing for a spot on the Bucks actual roster with a 2-way contract, and he played himself into that, played well, and has looked good. And so to me, I'm looking at that. They're not playing for anything, right? You look at their wins and losses, won the first game in dramatic fashion, and then have just tailed off. Okay, so they're not playing for anything. Why would he play in this game? Okay, that doesn't really make sense to me. And so we see that we are getting lines for Chris Livingston for his points, rebounds, and assists. I wouldn't mind his over points, rebounds, and assists there, guys, at 26.5. I think that could be a good spot. But we also have Boya there as well, where he is someone that has sat 2 games in a row now. At this point, I don't know what to expect with him. He is someone that does make some sense to get some run. So I don't know what to do with that there. And then Pete Nance as well. Pete Nance has been playing pretty darn well. I would say if Chris Livingston were to sit and Boya were to sit again, he'd be someone that would benefit as well. I just kind of expect the Bucks to kind of empty out their bench. And so not really any profits there that I think are going to be worthwhile for us due to that. Let me go ahead and take a peek at Miami. So Miami did end up sitting Khalil Ware in the last game. And with that, I don't know necessarily what we can expect minutes-wise. It is the back end of a back-to-back for them. And we look at the 2 players that we're getting prop bets for. Minutes-wise, been solid. For Stevenson, it's a little bit interesting. He got more shot attempts up in the last game, 15 points. But nothing really there for me to really be like, yes, we need a bet on both of those players. And so for me, guys, I'm staying away. I don't see an edge there with them. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the next game. And then we have to get into Utah as well. Again, to me, guys, doesn't make sense for Isaiah Collier to get run. Walter Clayton Jr., I believe, was shut down. Don't expect him to play. If he plays, that 15.5 points is pretty low. Cody Williams is the one that I would want to be on. As a result, if those players do end up sitting, we have seen him, get an increase in usage when those players do sit, but his lines are seemingly correct as well. You could potentially get to his over 25.5 points, rebounds, and assists like 1,000 people have done thus far. He is someone that is shooting the basketball a bunch, 16, 13, 17, and 19 shot attempts. But I just think his lines are correct. I don't think there's much edge there. Maybe his over points you could get to as well. But again, I just think the lines are correct. No real reason to force that then. So now we go heading into Chicago, a player that we've been on a bunch. I think he's hit every time for us, is Freeman Liberty. Okay, Liberty has been someone that has been gaining a bunch of run, 33 minutes, 29 minutes, 32 minutes, 24 minutes. He is a player that still does make sense to get some minutes as well. But this is a spot where I don't think his minutes would be reduced. It's either he's going to be out or he's going to be active. And if he's active, he should get a lot of run here. If that ends up being correct, and in this game against Utah, that is seemingly kind of a good game for us to attack. He is someone that is still probably being undervalued really in all regards. 18.5 points. His points, rebounds, and assists is a little bit too low. And you could argue even his, I wouldn't go to his three balls actually. That's probably correct. But yeah, all of them are a little bit too low. But again, I think at this point, we'd be forced in it a little bit. So no real reason to get in on that too much. And then, yes, we look at Young there, guys. 16.5 points, 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists. We are getting a little bit of juice there. If those players end up sitting again that have stats for Chicago. So kind of their younger stars, if you will. And I do expect that. And so we saw Young get 33 minutes. Insane amount of points. Guys got to the free throw line 9 times, 6 for 7 from 3. We're not expecting that, obviously. But 17 shot attempts, that's what's encouraging to us. And so we look at his lines, and to me, his lines are interesting. I could see getting to over 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I could see getting over 16.5 points. I was really hoping that we were getting a prop line difference for him, though, between the two sites. And so at the same time, even though I like the spot, it is a little bit risky. If the minutes are not there for him, can we really trust that spot? Becomes difficult, right? Don't mind it, though. If you want to toss it in there to a bet slip, you can. All right, so one of my favorite bets yesterday was obviously Freeman to get over his points, which ended up being a solid one, or just his PRA. Just in general, we thought he was going to have a good game. We were getting a slight prop line difference for him on prize picks compared to underdog for his points, so we went with his points on prize picks. It is the back end of back-to-back. Okay, they're not playing for anything. He's looked solid thus far. The NBA Summer League, what's the likelihood that he ends up sitting? That's the question I'm asking myself. And if he ends up sitting, is there anyone that would directly benefit? Well, Furphy, he would be, but if Freeman sits, Furphy would also sit. Now, Cam Jones is an interesting player. He is coming in off of a great game against his former teammate, Tyler Kolek. Okay, he was dominant, looked good, looked smooth. And it's a lot of just getting to the rim as well. I mean, he had 19 shot attempts, was playing well, 21 points, 3 rebounds, 11 assists. He is someone that I do think for his over 20.5 or 20 points, rebounds, and assists is seemingly a good spot for us. And the reason why is he is someone that can get some rebounds. He's someone that does get assists. And so if he's not necessarily getting to his over points, I still think there's a little bit there where if he's getting to 13 points, he could still get to his over points, rebounds, and assists. Then we go ahead and jump into the next game. We got Denver versus the Lakers. So Hunter Tyson, at this point, I'm just expecting him to sit. And then you have someone like Holmes, who would be someone that would benefit if he does end up sitting again. So we have seen the minutes been increased lately, so 29 and 30. Production was up as well in those games with Hunter Tyson off the court. He is someone that you would expect again to have increased production. When we look at the prop bets that we were getting for Denver, it doesn't really look like they're factoring in Tyson sitting. And so if they're not, I do think Holmes for over 8.5 rebounds, assuming again, he's a player at this point has played a lot of minutes for Denver. If he plays, I just don't see them limiting his minutes. If they're worried about him, they're just going to sit him. And so for me, looking at this, I actually don't mind the over 8.5 rebounds. He's gotten the over in the last 2 games. He is a big for them. Whether or not he wants to play like that, we'll see. But 14.5 points you could potentially do there as well. And then it is worth taking a peek at Spencer Jones here, who Spencer Jones, guys, 30 minutes in the last game, 11 shot attempts, not too much, but 9 of those were 3 balls, which is pretty darn crazy. I don't see much juice, though, in the lines that we're getting for him. So for me, it is only going to be Holmes for over 8.5 rebounds there as the best bet we want to get to. I would say Spencer Jones has his lines a little bit too high, honestly, considering kind of his outlook for today. And then we jump into the Lakers. Again, guys, the Lakers, I don't know precisely what to expect here. I'm a little bit surprised at the amount of bets that we're getting. I'm assuming that's just the LA base where they're trying to get people to bet on them in that area. Brian James, if he plays, maybe we get to his over points. I don't expect them to play. I don't expect Dalton Knecht to play. Maybe Cole continues to play, but his lines are correct. The only player, again, where I think we're gaining a little bit of an edge on, and I wish I would have just told you guys to do this, it would have been a little bit of dumb luck, was DJ Stewart. So the thought yesterday was, all right, if one of the other 3 players sits, Stewart's going to be someone that benefits. He still got his over. He is still being productive regardless. Now, for me, given the fact that this is the back end of a back-to-back, I think that just increases the likelihood for someone to sit, and I don't think it's going to be Stewart. We have seen him get a lot of shot attempts up, right? 11, 9's not that much. That game was ugly, though. Remember, very ugly game. And they have struggled. The Lakers are just not playing well in the side. I mean, 3 straight wins. You can't really argue that, but it's just their sloppy games, okay? And especially in terms of point totals or lowest point totals. Don't love that. But he has gotten the shot attempts up 14 and 14 there as well. And so if those other players are out, I do think we can still get to Stewart for over his points there of 11. That's a little bit too low, or even his points and rebounds, because that's not that much higher as well. But I like the over 11 points, 11.5 points. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get into the bet of the day for today. Only going to be a 4-slip bet. We could potentially run out that game stack with Dallas and Orlando. If you guys want to do it, you can. I think there's some spots there. I do think that we are going to see a lot of players sit in that game. I don't think it'll be Miles Kelly and Maxwell Lewis, so we should be sitting pretty there. Cam Jones, kind of riding the hot hand there, if you will, but I do think it makes sense for him to continue to get run. If he does continue to get run, that's a seemingly good spot for us. And then, yes, for the Lakers, I do expect someone to sit. I don't think it'll be Stewart. And so if that happens, he should still get the minutes. The increased usage still should be there for them as well. Yeah, remember, they are a team that played in the California Classic as well, so they have gotten a lot of looks on some players. So that's kind of the iffy part in terms of predicting minutes. So not exactly a lot of great spots for us today. It is later on in the NBA Summer League that's going to occur. And real quickly, guys, I realized I kind of skipped over one spot. Okay, so the Pelicans. I do want to touch on this real quick. So Queen, I do like for his over rebounds. Okay, and then Missy as well, potentially over 8.5 rebounds as well. Okay, so again, I don't know if we expect Yusuf to really play in this one. And so if he ends up sitting, then Derek Queen is someone that does make sense to get run as well. They both ended up sitting in their last game, though, so a little bit of a concern there. But I think if they play, again, the minutes should be there for them. And Queen to get over 8.5 rebounds just does stand out to me. He's gotten the over in all of his games thus far. Little bit of a strange prop bet. I'm going to include that in the bet of the day. So it's going to be a 5-slip bet there, guys. All right, so now we zoom back out and we're just going to talk about the best Flex Friday prop bets. This one right here, guys, is just, I'm going to deselect some of these bets here just real quick. This one right here, the one that we're getting for map 1 kills for League of Legends, is an insane edge. Now, I expected to get corrected by the time most of you guys get in here, but that is a big edge. From there, for League of Legends, 2.5 kills to 1.5 is a lot. So chances are it's just going to be 2. That's another good spot that we can get to. We are just getting a lot of middling opportunities here for League of Legends today. And again, the issue that we have, though, with these is that if we end up placing these bets, the issue becomes is that if there's teammates, it's going to significantly reduce the payout. So that is something that we don't love. Now, I do want to click this underdog line only bets, and I just want to take a peek at some of the MLB prop bets that we are getting. Are we getting any massive edges there? No. Okay, we're really not. That's annoying. And so what I mean by that is in regards to like the underdog lines. Are we getting any big prop line differences? And we're not. We are getting 2 bets that we are being told to bet the under on for Boston. So, potentially we could get there compared to the average sportsbook line, but a little bit annoying that we're not getting bigger edges today just in general. I was hoping we would. I mean, Brian Reynolds here, guys, interesting one. Could toss this in there. So 5 for PrizePicks fantasy score only has a 53% edge or so if we round up. The average sportsbook line has it closer to 6.4. The underdog line, though, closer to 7.3. The projection data really likes it. So that's one you could toss in there for the over in terms of like a big prop line difference, but nothing too crazy really other than that bet. So unfortunately, I kind of think we're going with more of the esports route, and maybe you could toss in some of the NBA Summer League prop bets as well. But then, guys, for the Flex Friday bet of the day, going to still include those 2 Dallas bets, assuming that Brian Nembhard is indeed going to sit, and then just going with those esports middles that we have. Those games are going to be starting. Those matches are going to be starting soon. Can't control it, unfortunately, obviously, right? But it is what it is, guys. Thanks for watching. Good luck with all your bets today. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys have not done so before. If you guys would like access to the 9to5 tools for PrizePicks prop betting, underdog prop betting, or fantasy golf, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Get access to all the tools for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. Appreciate you guys being here. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.